Good morning. I was just informed by the powers that be that it's 10:02, so welcome to Sunday service at Unity of Port St. Lucie. And greetings to the tens of thousands out there on YouTube as well. Tens of thousands? Okay. And today is Mother's Day. We wish a very happy Mother's Day to everybody here and everybody watching. So if you would join us in our opening song, One Light. I invite you to sit back and as we join our hearts and minds together in our prayer for inner peace. Creator of all that is, I open my heart and mind this morning to the presence of God that is within me and in everyone and everything, that one power and one presence. I let God's peace fill my being. In this presence, I am peaceful, poised, confident, and strong. I relax in God's loving care and release all my cares, knowing that God is upholding me and sustaining me in all that I do. God's presence calms me, quiets the storms around me, and leads me to a place of perfect peace. As I center myself in that peaceful presence this morning, I let go of every concern and relax in the safety of God's love and in the love of those around me. I find Unity of Port St. Lucie a sanctuary of love and peace, and I am open and receptive to receive all it has to soothe my mind and soul this day. And so it is. Amen. If you would repeat with me our statement of faith. There is only one power and one presence in my life and in the universe, God the good, omniscience, and omnipotence. And our core values. Unity of Port St. Lucie encourages diversity and embraces harmonious and creative pursuits of truth and knowledge in a safe environment to achieve balance and wholeness in the world. Keeping a safe social distance. Good morning, everybody. Yeah. And now our congregational song. Please rise and join us in singing Love is the Answer. And Marvia Reed is going to read our daily word.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot my glasses. Oh, my humanness. Today's daily word is about motherly love. God's perfect love, expressing through my mother, gave me life. God's love, wisdom, and strength guided her and all those who nurtured me as I grew. My words of praise and gratitude let me show my mother how much I appreciate her. When I wish to demonstrate my appreciation for my mother's example, I share the nurturing, motherly love of God in my words and actions with all people. Remembering the times when my mother or another compassionate person listened patiently and shared encouraging words, I seek to be a caring, supportive presence. Recalling my mother's joy each time I learned something new, I share my skills and knowledge willingly when someone seeks my help. In gratitude, I share the gift of nurturing love. And from Isaiah 66, verse 13, it says, "As a mother comforts her child, so I will comfort you." Let us repeat today's affirmation. I give thanks for motherly love. I give thanks for motherly love. Amen.
As we prepare for meditation with Reverend Linda Machezik, please join us in singing Surely the Presence.
So I invite you, friends, to join me now as we begin to relax more deeply. We release and let go of any tension in our bodies, beginning with the very tops of our heads, moving through our face. We relax all those lines. We relax our eyes, allow them to be soft, and our lips soft. We move down through our neck to our shoulders, and there, friends, there where many of us hold stress, we simply lift them up slowly and allow them to come back down again into their right position, relaxing them, releasing tension, letting it go. And we move intentionally through the rest of our body, relaxing, relaxing. We settle deeply into our chairs, our sofas, our couches. We allow those things to support us now, physically, so that we can simply relax and be. Just be. No doing, just being. Our feet are planted firmly on Mother Earth. And we place our hands on our laps or the table in front of us or our desk, palms up, open gently to a natural position. As we become an open instrument for the easy movement of spirit in us, around us, and through us. We breathe into our heart space, the center of our chest. Symbolically, this is the place where the Christ resides in us. This is sacred ground, sacred territory. Inside of us. Breathe into that space. Embrace the totality of you as a spiritual being, connecting right here, consciously, to your source. Breathe and be. And slowly, slowly now, settle into conscious communion with the God of your own understanding in this moment, in these precious moments. Conscious communion with your source in the silence, friends, in the silence. And then very slowly, very gently, lovingly, we begin to return our attention to the outer, bringing this conscious connection with us, knowing that when we open our eyes, our lights shine more brightly now, having taken a few precious moments to make a conscious connection to our source. So when we're ready, friends, we open up our eyes and invite all of you to join us as we sing now a song about love. Let there be light. Good morning, everyone. I see some pretty hats out there, more hats than usual. Yay, I like it a lot. You all look really good. It's Mother's Day. Yay, happy Mother's Day, everyone. Thank you. So I want to start out by talking to mothers. How many of you are mothers? So those of you at home who may not have seen that, the majority of the people in this room today are mothers. So first I want to begin by a few words with the mothers. This is a day to celebrate motherhood, among other friends, ladies. A day to celebrate motherhood. Just reflect with me for a few moments on the experience of motherhood. Remember the moment that you found out you were pregnant? Just reflect on that. I do. I remember shock, terror, exhilaration, all wrapped up somehow in one feeling. I know you remember the birth. We won't talk about that. That's a shared experience. I remember bringing that baby home. How about you? I remember walking out of the hospital thinking, really? They're letting me walk away with this baby? I don't even know how to balance my checkbook. I remember bringing her home. I remember laying her down on the sofa. And I remember swaddling her. Remember we used to swaddle newborn babies in delivery blankets? I remember swaddling her because she was crying ferociously and encountering the most god-awful, unfamiliar smell I had experienced up until that point in my life. Remember? I opened up her little onesie, looked at her diaper, and she's listening right now, by the way. I told her I was going to do this. She begged me not to. I opened up her little onesie, looked at her diaper, and saw the grossest, biggest mess of green poop that I'd ever seen up to that point in my life. It was everywhere. I thought to myself, how did that happen? She's just tiny. So I did what probably many of you did. I picked up the phone and called my mother, sobbing, saying, what do I do? Where do I begin? Yeah, I remember those things. I remember during those early weeks, she began to cry into the night, and I wasn't getting any sleep. I tried everything, tried walking her, tried ignoring her, because you know you get advice from everywhere about precisely how to deal with that, right? And you get all kinds of ideas about what the cause could be. And I listened to all of it. It only confused me more. So I remember calling the pediatrician's office saying, I need to get in there as quickly as possible because something's wrong with her. And I'm not sleeping. So they made an appointment, and I ran up, and it was a considerable drive. And I got in the car, and I took her, and we went to the doctor. And I remember him examining her carefully. And then I remember him looking at me and saying, you ready for this? I said, yeah. He said, she's hungry. What? She was ready for rice cereal sooner than most. Really? I was so inexperienced. Weren't we all, friends? So unprepared. I remember her first day at school. I remember the little dress and the new shoes and the perfect hair. We were a school bus community, so I remember walking around to the school bus stop and waiting for the driver. And I remember watching her step onto the school bus and sit down, and absolutely terrified, but not showing it, of course. And on and on. I remember her first Holy Communion. I remember that dress. I remember the whole experience. So many memories. And thank God we continue to make them. Thank God, in my case anyway. So today, join me, friends, in celebrating motherhood. Celebrating motherhood. If you haven't already today, take a little time to reflect on that journey, because each of those journeys is unique and individual, and I know that. And now a word to those of us who have mothers. Who has a mother? Oh, come on. Play along. One person raised their hand, so the rest of you were just dropped here. I get that. By a stork. We all have mothers. Some of us have had better experience with mothers, being children of mothers than others. Mine died 3 years ago this July. How many of you have lost your mother? Yeah, overwhelming majority of the people in this room. Gosh, my mom taught me so much by her words, and I bet you can relate to some of them. She taught me about praying when she said, you better pray that spot comes out of the carpet. She taught me a lot about logic when she said, do this because I said so, that's why. She taught me about foresight when she said, make sure you have clean underwear on in case you're in an accident. She taught me all about osmosis when she said, shut your mouth and eat your supper. She taught me stamina when she said, you will sit there until that spinach is all gone. She taught me about genetics when she said, you are just like your father. And she taught me about justice when she said, someday you're going to have kids of your own. And I hope and pray they put you through what you're putting me through. Familiar? My mother taught me by her actions too, and her ideas, and she taught me by the way those ideas landed on my ears. She taught me by the way that her ideas landed on my heart, and so did yours. I know that. My mother did the very best that she could, and she worked tirelessly to keep our family safe and secure, to put food on the table. She sacrificed greatly to give us most of the things we wanted and everything we needed. So thank you, Mom. Thank you, Mom. On behalf of all of us, take a moment right now. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Mom. And to those whose mothers are still alive, today we've bought you flowers, gifts, cards, made or will make phone calls, or reservations, or room at our table, or visits, all of that for mothers. Today we honor you, and in many cases remember you. Mother's Day in this country is a huge national holiday, the busiest time of the year, or the day of the year rather, for restaurants. Did you know that? So don't go to one unless you're fully prepared to stand in line. It's a huge national holiday. I think it was begun around 1914 or something like that. It was a presidential proclamation, as I recall. And now the popularity has spread. I was reading an article actually on the internet when I was doing my research for this talk about how popular it is in India, for example. I'm not sure how people are celebrating in India right now because of the pandemic. God bless them. But Mother's Day popularity has spread everywhere, apparently. And it's celebrated similarly to the way we celebrate. And I'm sure Hallmark sells just as many cards there as they do here. All of this celebration of motherhood in the material world is a fabulous thing. Truly it is. It's an opportunity for us to celebrate and to honor and respect and remember, and that's a good thing. It's a glorious thing. But there's more to the story, in my opinion, and that's what I want to talk about for a little bit. And that's the mother potential in each of us. It's called the divine feminine, friends. The divine feminine. You know, I was so impressed when I went to seminary at Unity Village, and I volunteered to be part of a small team. There were 3 of us who were assigned the responsibility of digging into the archives and finding the original 20-some statements that Charles Fillmore wrote down. They were statements that defined Unity teachings. There were 20-some of them. And they're not referenced any longer. Most people don't even know they exist. But it was an honor and a privilege to dig into the archives and find them. And you know that one of his statements was a statement about the divine feminine, the importance of elevating the divine feminine in this world. I was so impressed. I'd never even heard such an idea before, and I was delighted. In Unity, you know, when Charles Fillmore was developing the teachings, and people were writing down what he was saying, and he himself was writing down what he was uncovering, and what was being reinforced by all kinds of other teachers around the globe, not just Charles, and he knew that. He said this kind of a paradox, because God is both masculine and feminine. God is both masculine and feminine. Remember, God is not an entity, friends. God is an energy field. God is the energy field in which we live and breathe and have our being. God is the great mind spirit of the universe. And within that energy, it would appear like there are 2, he called it a paradox, because they appear to be opposite, you know, masculine and feminine. And he said the masculine energy is the thinking energy, the intellectual energy. And the feminine energy is the feeling, loving energy. And he said they have to be balanced. You see, they have to be equally balanced in order for things to work extraordinarily well. It has nothing to do with gender. It has to do with the words that I've just shared with you. 2 energies. That's why in Unity, for years and years and years, People who went to seminary were taught to begin their prayers, Father, Mother, God, to acknowledge both of those energies. That's why. Both are necessary parts of the whole. You know what happens when they're out of balance, do you not? Of course you do. Think about it for a moment. You can think of situations where the masculine energy, the energy of logic and intellect and thinking and problem solving, dominates. Ultimately, at the end of the day, that doesn't get us where we want to go in and of itself. You can think, I bet you, of situations where the feeling, loving nature was so dominant that there didn't appear to be any logic in the reaction. Think about that. I know you can relate to what I'm saying. It is necessary to find equal balance. And that potential is in each of us. Because the potential is in the air we breathe. Because the reality is it's already in perfect balance on some level. We just need to tap into it. We can't tap into it unless we know about it and understand it and acknowledge it and work with it. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. When I was thinking about preparing this talk, I wanted to put my finger on something that would inspire me. I was looking for inspiration, and sometimes I find it within, but not always. Sometimes I look without for something on my bookshelf, etc. Well, I don't have anything on my bookshelf that speaks to the divine feminine. So I went online, of course, where we all go ultimately, right, to find our reference material, or at least I do. And I went to a website called Truth Unity, truthunity.net. Some of you, 2 of you at least, are shaking your heads. If you've never gone there, I encourage you to do so, especially if you've been around Unity for a while. It is so rich in resources. Oof, it will just blow your mind. It has been developed and is maintained by Reverend Mark Hicks, Hicks. Mark has dedicated his life to building these archives. You can find every single solitary word that Charles Fillmore ever spoke and was recorded on Mark's website. And you can search it by keywords. You can find everything that Eric Butterworth ever wrote or said on Mark's website, and you can search it by keywords. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Mark continues to add more all the time. So I went there, and I don't remember the first keyword I put in, but it didn't work, didn't bring me much. I think it was define feminine. And it brought me a couple of things, but nothing I already haven't shared with you, nothing new, nothing that inspired me. And then I decided to put in the words Mother's Day to see what would happen. Go figure. Sometimes the obvious and most simple solution is the last one I come to. Can you relate? So I put in Mother's Day, and the very first thing that popped up was a talk given by Reverend Eric Butterworth on May 11th, 1975 in Lincoln Center, New York City. Woo! Where thousands, friends, thousands of people came on Sunday morning and filled the rafters just to hear this man talk. Most people will tell you he was the greatest unity minister who ever lived. Can you imagine filling Lincoln Center Sunday after Sunday with this message? When I first came to Unity, my Unity minister in Vero Beach, my first 2 Unity ministers, husband and wife, she gave me an old cassette tape of several of Eric's talks. And it was the first time I heard his voice because he was already gone. And I just closed my eyes and listened to this man, and I was like, oh my goodness. He was amazing. Otherwise, he wouldn't have drawn thousands of people to Lincoln Center, obviously. So I got this talk, and I printed it out. Now, I can't say it like he said it, but I am bound and determined to channel a little of him right now because I want to share part of it with you. May 11th, 1975, the greatest unity minister who's ever lived, probably one of the most serious students of metaphysics and Charles Fillmore who ever lived. And here's what Eric said on that morning in Lincoln Center. On Mother's Day, we look back with nostalgia and we honor our mothers with a greeting card and perhaps with the wearing of a red or white carnation. However, the finest way to honor Mother is to open the heart to a new birth of love and peace. If we can acknowledge that logic and reason have often brought us into crisis, that only the transcendent flow of intuition can resolve, then we earn the right to wear a carnation. For the mothering influence is alive in every one of us. But if we insist on a rigid view toward life and people, then our mothering love is dead. Man's not all included between his hat and his boots. There's more to a person than a body and a mind. There is more to education than developing the intellect. We indulge in a lot of flattery over the wonders of modern science and technology. We say if we put a man on the moon, we should be able to solve the problems of war and poverty and pollution. But the fact is, the more we have applied our intellect to solving those problems, the more confused we become. One may know all the facts about a thing and still not know it. There is always an unanalyzable residuum beyond the perception of the intellect. In Genesis, we read, "And God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness. And God created man in his own image, male and female created he them." Thus, man, created in the likeness of God, must have the essence of father, mother, and male, female. Love in man is essentially a feminine attribute, and wisdom is a masculine attribute. This masculine-feminine makeup is essential to healthy mindedness. When God said it is not good that man should be alone, it means that it is not good for wisdom to act alone. We need also the wisdom to believe the heart and to balance and say and do everything with love and intuition. He goes on then for quite a while, and I wouldn't stand here and read the whole talk to you, but I'm going to jump fast forward to some final words. He concludes by saying, "It is time, friends, to acknowledge that reasoning power alone has never, ever solved human problems. The more we think about the problem, the more complex it becomes, unless the light comes. And the question is rarely asked, where does the light come from? Einstein said that all his work was the result of intuition and not of logic. He was a wearer of the red carnation. Mother's Day is a good time to herald the importance of the divine feminine, the need to explore and harness our inner depths. When the intellect is unified with the super-conscious flow, there's a balance of male and female in each of us. Then only is there hope of creating a world order of peace and goodwill. One is simply not qualified for life in modern times without a sense of the transcendent, the free flow of understanding love and the wisdom to believe the heart. Paul could have been speaking to our day when he said, don't let the world around you force you into its own mold, but let God remold your mind from within. This is to awaken the divine feminine, the wisdom to believe the heart. You are intended to be not just a reflector, but an innovator. You are not just a mind computer to be programmed with facts, but a creative imagination. Thank you, Reverend Butterworth. Thank you. Impressive stuff, isn't it? Thank you for allowing me to share it with you. It certainly inspired me. I'm grateful that it's made available to me through the work of people like Mark Hitz. And you know, I can't remember the specifics of the commercial, but I saw a commercial just recently, and I couldn't believe the words. The narrative in the background talked about the light. And it was a commercial for cars or something. It was not a commercial for spiritualism, trust me. It was a commercial to sell a product. But within the commercial, it talked about the light, the source of the light, and speculated about the fact that it came from within us. I heard it. Excuse me. And so, friends, I think, I believe, I know the divine feminine is shaking things up. The divine feminine is reacting to the divine masculine. And the divine feminine is having her way with the universe right now. Seriously. I feel it, I know it. And it's about love. It's about love. My daughter and her husband came and just spent 3 days with me, and that's the first time we visited in a very long time. And I've shared that with a couple of you, and I know some of you are either right now having that experience who have very recently had it, or you're about to have it, coming together with people again with whom you haven't been for a long time through this whole pandemic. There is so much joy. There is so much gratitude for simply being going on right now. Do you feel it? Do you hear about it? I do. Do you see it? Look for it. Look for it. Celebrate it. Wallow in it. Make it last as long as you can. Lap it up until the very last drop is gone. That's the divine feminine. And she's having her way with this. And it's a good thing, friends. It's a good thing. Focus on it. Focus on it. Concentrate on it. Don't allow anything to deter you from your commitment to experiencing it. In fact, I want to leave you with an affirmation. I'm going to ask you to join me. I'm going to give you an affirmation. I created it for myself. I'm sharing it with you, and here it is. Let me read it first. I cultivate, bring into my awareness, and into the world my divine feminine, the energy of love. Right? Come on, say it with me, all of you. I cultivate, bring into my awareness, and into the world my divine feminine, the energy of love. Thank you, friends. Happy Mother's Day. God bless you.
child in school, I asked my mother, what will I draw? Should I paint pictures? Should I sing songs? This was her wise reply. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. What will be, will be. When I grew up and fell in love, I asked my mother, what lies ahead? Will I have rainbows day after day? Here's what my mother said. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. What will be, will be. Now I have children of my own, and they ask their mother, what will I be? Will I be handsome? Will I be rich? I tell them tenderly, que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. What will be, will be. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. What will be, will be.
Thank you.
Thank you, John and Dinah, and thank you, Reverend Linda. Am I remembering correctly that Doris Day did that? Of course, that was long before my time. Yeah, I just heard it on the radio, yeah. Okay, now's the time in the service when we take out our offerings, we hold them in our hands, we bless them as we say together, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I give in love because I love to give. And the offering plates are in the back on your way out. Prayer chaplain today is Stacy Murphy. I know she's here. There she is, back there. She'll be over in the alcove if you'd like to share affirmative prayer with her after the service. We still have New Day up there. Lena's now doing chair yoga on Wednesdays at 10 o'clock here at church in the sanctuary. Spiritual discussions, first and third Tuesday of the month, led by Mr. Hayes. The next one is the 18th at 7. Prayer circles every Thursday at 11. The metaphysics class started Wednesday. So if you didn't join, you've got time. So if you want to register, last week to join is this week. Okay. And the metaphysical Bible study, which will be an in-person discussion here in church, begins Monday, May 17th. Next week, Reverend Linda's back. And just thank you for everyone who helped set up. I must give a shout out to our incredible videography, Mr. Paul Shepard, who has behind the scenes been working for several weeks now to get the sound perfect. And he's done it. He's happy, so we know it's perfect. So thank you, Mr. Paul. And your students like Jada. And now please stand and join us in our closing song, the peace song.